Good morning, everyone. My name is Mani Mirzazadeh, and I am the Marketing Director here at Wave Technology Solutions Group. I just want to begin by thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us for our Digital Mailroom Automation webinar, where we aim to explain how mailroom automation works and also try and point out the benefits it can provide your organization once implemented. As you've noticed, everybody is on mute and they will be on mute throughout the session, but we do have a chat panel where we encourage you to post any questions which you may have, and we'll try and get to them at the end of the webinar once all the demonstrations are out of the way. Okay, so without further ado, I want to dive in. Before I dive in, I would like to take a moment to introduce you to all of our speakers that have joined us in today's webinar. I'll start off by Fred Voigt, who is the Director of Sales Operations here at Wave Technology Solutions Group. We also have Robert Esquivel, who is the Partner Business Manager for the West region at Kodak Alaris. Julia Tenser, another one of my colleagues, who is the Sales Director here at Wave Technology Solutions Group, and also Michael Dalrymple from Channel Account Manager for the Central Region at MFiles. So what are we going to cover in today's webinar? Basically, our agenda today is a mix of PowerPoint presentation and product demonstrations, in which we will provide or cover topics such as what is a mail and what is a digital mailroom, and how implementing a digital mailroom will benefit your organization. We'll also dive into some of the technologies that make up a digital mailroom, such as ingestion, capture, classification, and migration, and also intelligent information management, such as MFiles for acting as the central repository for your content that you've brought in through various forms. And at the end of the session, we'll take some time to answer any questions that you may have regarding anything that's going to be shown to you today. I would like also to mention that the webinar is being recorded and will be distributed once it is over to everybody who's joined our call today. So without further ado, I want to pass it over to Fred Voigt, who will start talking about digital mailroom, what it is, and the benefits it can bring your organization. So Fred, over to you.
Thank you, Mani. My name is Fred Voigt. I'm the Director of Sales Operations and Key Accounts Manager for Wave Technology Solutions Group. So we'll get started here. So what is the digital mailroom? Digital mailroom is the automation of incoming mail processes, whether paper or digital documents. Using document scanning and document capture technologies, companies can digitize incoming mail and automate the classification of that mail and distribution. Mail volumes continue to grow exponentially. This is stimulated by recent growth and the tremendous growth in mobile workforces in the last 18 months. Corporate mailrooms struggle to keep up with the paper flow. One piece at a time visual identification and manual sorting is labor intensive and error prone. By digitizing incoming mail and indexing documents on the fly, customers can not only gain control of their mail processes, but have the opportunity to easily distribute document information for decision-making and compliance. Paper and electronic documents, such as emails and attachments, can be managed through the same processes, allowing companies to standardize their internal mail distribution. Next slide. So, what are some reasons for implementing a digital mailroom? Well, electronic document processes, which are paper or document scanning and processing born digital documents such as emails and attachments, can greatly reduce the labor costs associated with identifying and sorting documents and manually keying information from those documents. We can now automatically identify document types such as contracts, correspondence, invoices, purchase orders, application for employment, and basically any kind of document that enters an organization. We can do this via software recognition and then extract the appropriate information from these documents greatly reducing manual keying and reducing labor costs and errors. Another benefit of converting incoming paper and electronic mail into electronic images and data as soon as it is received is the extent it shortens the decision cycle. Immediate notification of a document's receipt by the company can be accomplished and decision-making processes become more efficient. Elimination of paper reduces the need to send paper documents between sites, so the sharing of information by authorized users becomes very easy. Mailroom costs not only include staff costs involved in the distribution of paper documents, but also the costs associated with resending documents and loss or deterioration of those documents. A digital mailroom implementation has a direct positive effect on all of these costs. Additionally, there are cost reductions associated with the physical storage and copying of paper documents. Incoming mail tracking is a necessity for retention and compliance. The earlier a document is transformed, the more reliably it can be tracked throughout its life cycle. Additionally, a scanned document becomes accessible to all authorized users without the requirement to make copies for distribution. Any action taken on an electronic document can be tracked for compliance via audit trails. Service-oriented companies greatly benefit from the ability of authorized staff to instantly access customer files and to answer questions immediately. Digital transformation of documents upon their entry into an organization, coupled with content management systems, allow documents to be routed to appropriate staff regardless of their physical location. So, what are some of the technologies involved in a digital mailroom? Number one is document capture. That is the act of scanning paper documents so they can be archived and retrieved in an image format. It is the most widespread imaging technology used today. Modern document scanning software platforms now make it possible to digitize paper documents and import electronic files, processing them together through the same production platforms. Another advancement is the ability to scan documents from remote locations and to retrieve them via a web interface. This is known as distributed capture and provides many cost benefits to companies with multiple branch offices or remotely located staff. Document classification can analyze and classify mixed batches of documents. The software can then identify and extract data from any scanned or born digital document in a single flow. Automatic classification technologies reduce the need for pre-sorting documents before the scanning or importing processes. Data capture with improvements in OCR technology now make it possible to automatically extract appropriate key information based on recognized document types. This information is then used to index the document and/or to route the document to correct department or recipient, and can also be used to populate line of business applications such as accounting, HR systems, CRMs, ERPs, or whatever additional softwares the company may be using within their organization. Workflow applications enable electronic documents to circulate inside an organization to support business process automation, accommodating approvals and collaboration, which increases efficiencies, lowers labor costs, and costs of compliance. Document content management systems are used to manage administrative functions such as document retention and disposition, appropriate and secure access to documents and information contained within the solution, and to manage workflow processes. These document and content management systems can also be integrated with existing line of business applications and any software that is being utilized within the organization. And that completes it for my session. Now we'll turn over the next session of this presentation to Robert Esquivel from Kodak Alaris.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it. My name is Robert Esquivel. I'm the Partner Business Manager for Kodak Alaris. I've been in this industry for almost 27 years. I've seen a lot of changes. I've had the luxury of working with Wave ever since I started this industry, so it's definitely a good relationship moving forward. So I'll go ahead and start off. So many business processes begin at the mailroom, resulting of not automating these processes that will slow the actual business down. Solutions from Kodak Alaris will streamline the process while lowering the total cost and getting accurate information into your business processes faster, while taking the complexity out of the mailroom automation. Next. Okay, I'm going to talk about 6 different steps of the process. The first one is document preparation. Intelligent Job selects you to configure job settings using patch sheets, thus saving you time on your job setup. Secondly, document processing. Fast, reliable Kodak Alaris scanners handle a wide range of documents and paper sizes, all at high quality and resolution. Intelligent document protection built into the scanner stops jams before they happen and prevent damage to original documents. Kodak Capture Pro and other capture solutions work in tandem with fast and reliable Kodak Alaris i4000 and i5000 series scanners to accurately extract metadata from the documents and securely send them in the queue for further processing. Third is quality assurance. Kodak Alaris Perfect Page enhances images for accurate information capture. Intelligent quality control detects poor quality images and dynamically adjusts them on the fly to produce better images and reducing any additional rework. The fourth is business processes. Accurate information capture minimizes delays and errors. Digital signature guarantees that the document has not been altered after the approval process. The fifth in the queue is data center. Intelligent document scanning creates the best quality image for accurate data capture while creating the smallest possible file size. The Alaris Ion ecosystem simplifies information capture, proven imaging science, and technology experience. Software and scanners engineered together to deliver the most reliable and efficient capture. A range of options to fit your information capture needs, from simple desktop capture to specialized solutions for unique technical and business requirements. Partnering with Wave Technology Solutions Group, they are ready to create and install solution precisely configured to your overall business, train and support your staff to manage and maintain your capture systems trouble-free. Then lastly, document storage and disposal. We have 2 scanners, the Kodak Alaris i5650S and the 5850S. They offer sorting capabilities that can sort patch sheets, checks, multi-feeds, and barcoding pages as they are scanned, saving post-scan labor and time. One customer offers an accounts payable pre-processing service for their clients. A new fleet of Kodak Alaris i5650S scanners paired with capture software slashes their time spent on quality checks and rescans, as well as post-scan preparations of separating checks from the batch, improving flow through rates by 50% and significantly improving the total pre-processing time. The Mailroom is now a showcase of excellence for prospective clients. Their Kodak Alaris optimization has been a key differentiator, helping them land net new business. An insurance company client grew their sales by 100% in only 5 years since deploying solutions from Kodak Alaris in their mailroom. And now they have reassigned 3 staff members to higher value tasks than running them to the mailroom to departments. They've also eliminated a 3-day wait time for copies and documents. Final result is raising customer and insurance broker satisfaction to an all-time high. And that's a promise of Kodak Alaris. Whatever your industry or processing challenges may be, we turn data chaos into a business opportunity. I'm now going to pass this over to my good friend, Julia Tenzer.
All right, thank you, Robert. Good morning, everyone. My name is Julia Tenser, and I'm the Director of Sales for Enterprise Software with Wave Technology Solution Group. Today, I'm going to address how we can streamline the ingestion of all of your documents into the other line of business softwares that you're using. All right, so let's get to it. Every single person and company attending the webinar today have a few things in common. We all deal with documents daily, and none of us want to waste our time. We all want to be as efficient as possible in as little time as possible. And our goal at Wave is to help you do just that. We can help you accomplish this and save your company significant time and money in the process. Now, with everything going on in the world today, we've all had to create a new normal for our processes. Companies all receive documents regardless of the size of the organization. We have inbound physical mail coming into our mailroom, or oftentimes companies are also receiving digital mail, which whether it be fax or as email attachments or paper-based documents as well. Now, once the mail is received into the company, it's opened and the documents or information on those documents need to be routed to other people and to other software systems, perhaps to various departments in the organization and to specific people in the company who may be at the office or now working remotely, and oftentimes routed to other company locations or maybe even to the company headquarters. When your digital mail or paper mail is received, it needs to be opened, sorted, and separated into its respective pile or stack, and then routed, which all takes time as well as labor, which obviously can cost your company money, and ultimately can really cause delays in getting the information to its final destination. Those delays have a significant impact on your company's efficiencies and response times. So now let's look at our virtual mailroom. Hopefully this does not look familiar. Maybe at the beginning of the pandemic it did. Now, a lot of folks, as we all know, have taken their office space home, wedging the office into the kitchen, closet, or anywhere to get some peace and quiet. We receive paper mail, also emails, sometimes faxes with important information, which all require some type of action. When you receive an email or digital attachment, you still need to categorize it and decipher the different kinds of documents. Route the information or the document to a destination. Maybe you're saving the document with a special name. If you're standardizing on the naming convention that you're assigning to each document type. Perhaps you're printing out the document because you have to find key pieces of information on that document, which you're manually entering into another line of business software or database that your company uses. All of these daily processes, they really add up and end up costing companies considerable time and money. Now, not only are we dealing with those costs, but now remote workers are even more challenged to manage the chaos. And the reason we love what we do is because we're truly helping companies become far more efficient for literally a fraction of the time and the cost that they're currently spending. We automate those processes, taking all of the grunt work out of it. And it's quite easy. When you have physical documents coming into your company or into your mailroom, you can actually take a stack of your mail and put the documents on a copier or on a Kodak scanner and let the software figure out what type of documents are in that pile. So rather than having to take the time or pay people to sort and separate the documents into piles in your physical or virtual mailroom, we automate that process so it can happen in seconds. Let the software figure out what kind of documents are in the pile and automatically extract that information that you know is relevant to that document type, and then send it along to the right person or get the information automatically into any of the other softwares that you're using, such as M-Files. We can extract information and attachments out of your email, and that's also quite easy to do. Now, once we figure out the types of documents that your company receives, we then look at how those documents are being ingested, whether they're coming in from a copier, a scanner, fax, maybe as an email attachment, or even pictures taken out in the field on a phone. The capture software is both hardware and software agnostic. So it doesn't matter how those images are coming in or where they're going. So you can kind of think of us like a moving truck where we pick up the information and then drop it off where it needs to go, regardless of your backend repository or database. It's really just about getting the right information off of an image and then getting it to the right place. And the whole goal is to increase your company's efficiency by reducing, in a lot of cases, completely eliminating those keystrokes and mouse clicks. Now, again, okay, so let's look at what your current office situation is. How do we get started? First off, what we do is we take a look at all the documents that you're processing, and then we figure out where we should start helping you with your data entry pane. So we look at your company and the various types of documents that you're dealing with, whether they're legal briefs, contracts, real estate documents, insurance forms, HR documents, medical documents, enrollment documents, accounting documents. I can go on and on. So any kind of documents that you're dealing with in the various departments of your company, our solutions are specifically tailored for you and your documents. Now, when we're looking at advanced capture, there's really 3 important things to look at in your mailroom, whether remote and virtual office automation. The first thing is the ability to extract the data off of a page. Now, with data extraction, the page becomes more than just a page. We now make that data live, and then the image becomes intelligent. And we can extract information from anywhere on a page, and we can do that automatically. So with automation, we then attempt to remove the human element when it comes to typing in on our keyboards, clicking on a mouse, in order to get the data into the appropriate system. Which then is the third reason why we talk about advanced capture, and that's the migration portion. Some people call it publishing. We can publish that information to almost any line of business application, as well as move those images around. So we can push the index information to multiple places, all with one scan, and publish the data into the various line of business applications that you're using. Now, if you don't have a line of business application or content management software, that's where it's going to get really fun. And we're going to show you M-Files in a moment here. So by automating the ingestion portion, you no longer have to have your folks spend their time manually entering the information off your documents or have their fingers slip off the mouse when dragging a file across the screen, dump it into a folder and then not knowing where it went. So here, we're going to provide you with a demonstration shortly. But right now, I just want to deliver a visual of this process. So it's a graphic just to give you some insight here. Now, what you can see here is the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to collect the data. So we're going to figure out where's that data coming from. Is it coming from an email? If we're pulling documents off a folder, perhaps you have a direct connect scanner. Maybe you're taking the pictures, again, out in the field with a mobile device. Then what we do is we're going to tell the software, what kind of documents do we have? So we let the software automatically classify the various documents and then find the information that's relevant to that particular document. Then we have the ability to review the content that we've extracted. So rather than typing information about information, now you have people just reviewing the information that's extracted. And then we're going to go ahead and route that information to the various line of business softwares that you're using. That way you can trigger a response in the appropriate workflows. And that way we can streamline those business processes. So that way you can get your information a lot quicker, take care of your internal people quicker, as well as your external folks. Now, Site Capture is the software that we're looking at. And where it gets exciting here, well, I get very excited about it, is that you can take your stack of documents, you can put them on the copier or codec scanner, press the button, and let the software automatically figure out the types of documents that are in that pile. We also have the ability to grab line item detail, which becomes really important when you're dealing with, when the data on the line items on your documents is crucial to your business processes. So that could be manufacturing, transcripts, EOBs, accounting, any of those types of documents that have specific line item detail. And then finally, where are you going to put this information? Where is it going to get stored? You want to go to a server? We can do that. We can automatically build folders, no problem. Do you want to send the information to another line of business software? We can surely do that as well. If you don't have a content management software, Michael with M-Files is going to present a wonderful solution shortly. Now, here's just a few of the snapshots of where we can send the information. We can't fit them all on the page here, but we can go to all the various softwares that you're using. Anywhere, if you've want to send it to an XML folder, you want to go to SharePoint, Azure, Application Extender, M-Files, FileBound, any of the softwares that you're using. And today we're going to showcase mFiles, again, which is an exceptional intelligent information management solution. So take it away, Michael.
Thanks, Julia. So, hello, everyone. My name is Michael Dalrymple. I am the Channel Account Manager for mFiles. So what Julia did was she really expressed and kind of communicated the real great benefits of a capture solution. What I'd like to talk about is the benefits of using mFiles or a dedicated ECM solution to manage and store all of your information. So what is mFiles? mFiles is an information management platform that uses repository neutral connectors and also AI to help organizations efficiently manage all of their information. So how do we do that? Some of the benefits of using ECM platform technology like ourselves is one unique thing is we use repository neutral connectors to eliminate silos and make information easy to manage. And what I mean by that is if you look at an organization and some of the technology they're using to manage various pieces of information, you might find an ERP system, you might find a CRM system, you might see that organizations are storing information in SharePoint and Teams. Maybe they're storing information in network folder shares as well. A lot of these systems are not connected, which means that the user has to remember where the information lives and actually access that information off of that UI and solution. And what mFiles is able to do uniquely is be able to kind of aggregate all that information and give the user a single platform and UI to be able to access all of that information without having to jump through different UI hoops. Another thing that we do and really kind of bring value to customers and organizations is we offer workflow automation. So we really increase productivity by taking a lot of these manual, tedious processes and really digitizing those to make them more streamlined and also make them more trackable. And which is really important, especially with everything going on today. If you look at, everybody's working remote. There's still that remote initiative going on with a lot of organizations. And you simply can't just walk up to someone's desk, drop something off, and then expect that to be done or processed rather quickly. So all of that stuff really kind of gets more concise and more streamlined with workflow automation. Also, what you'll find is as we become more digital and start digitizing more sensitive information, the security and protection of that data is paramount. And we secure and protect everyone's information, whether they're using our cloud instance, whether they're using an on-premises solution, or possibly a hybrid deployment. mFiles secures and manages all of that information without the user ever having to worry about security access. We also really help customers and organizations that are in a really regulated industry, whether it's HIPAA, ISO, FDA. We help them maintain or adhere to compliance standards and regulations using our platform. And we ourselves at mFiles use our own solution for both HR, for document management, for quality management, where we're managing our own standard operating procedures, learning requirements, and we ourselves are ISO 9001 compliant. We're also enabling a more agile and remote workplace. And really our initiative and focus was to be able to provide users the ability to access their information at anywhere, at any time. And this was even pre-COVID. We really wanted users to be able to access information at any time. And we do that by using all three different access points, whether it's a desktop client, maybe you're at work, maybe you're at home possibly and you want to use the web browser, or maybe if you're traveling, you want to use a mobile client, all of your information is right at your fingertips. And lastly, we bring more value to other business applications. And what I mean by that is we have some very rich enterprise content management tools like audit trail history, workflow automation. And what we do is we leverage that functionality into systems that simply don't have that capability. So things like Office 365, Salesforce, Google Drive, network folder shares, these are all things that can benefit from us integrating into those other platforms and applications. And we do that for pretty much all of the industries. It doesn't really matter if you're in professional and financial services, construction, manufacturing, energy, and healthcare. Our system is a platform, so it's pretty broad on what it can do. And it pretty much doesn't matter what use case. It could be a document management solution, it could be an HR solution, it could be a compliance and quality management solution. Our system is great for all kinds of different use cases. Now, I know that's a pretty broad spectrum of some of the things that we can do, But really what we're going to focus in today is just showing you how mFiles and Cygen can help you with the mailroom automation. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Julia, and she's going to get started on the first half of the demonstration.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Michael. That was great. Now, all right, keep in mind when you're capturing documents, maybe you've got your Direct Connect scanner, maybe you're scanning to a folder, perhaps you've got emails coming in. When we're looking at ingesting documents, we can ingest from any of those places. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to simulate that process because I don't have a Direct Connect scanner, but keep in mind what I'm about to show you, all of this is going to take place on the server. So you're not going to be looking at any of these spinning dials taking place in front of you. If I just showed you a completely automated demonstration, it wouldn't be as fun because it would be done in 5 seconds. But I'm just going to go ahead and simulate that import process. And I'll show you a few different demonstrations. But initially what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start out with some AP samples. So again, the user's experience would not be that they're pointing and clicking. This would all take place automatically. Now, initially what happens here is I'm just creating the batch. So the images are going to come in. And in this case, we've got a number of different documents, financial documents. We've got purchase orders, packing slips, and invoices from a variety of different vendors. And these can be a 1-page document. They could be a 1,000-page document. It really doesn't matter. But what the software is going to do is it's going to look for the information that's relevant to that particular document type. So for instance, in this case, with a purchase order from Acme Corporation, we're going to look for the PO number, the date, the total, all the header information. Now, as you can see, they just come in as single pages because we haven't performed separation. Now, the first thing that the software is going to do here is it's going to OCR each image. So again, it's going to digitize each image. It's going to read every letter and number, make that image intelligent. And then what it's going to do is going to go ahead and identify what types of documents we have here. Who did they come from? Where does the document start? Where does it end? Perform the separation on the fly. So you can see here, this is a 1-pager, here's a 3-pager. Then it's going to look for the key pieces of metadata that people would otherwise be typing into the system. So now, in this case, the first time someone is actually going to be in the software is to review the results. So at the top here, what you can see is this is the information that we told the software to find. So the vendor name, identify the record type, whether it be an invoice, packing slip, purchase order, identify the PO number, PO date, PO total, etc. Now in this case, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select a cell. And what it's done is here's the information that it extracted on the far right-hand side. It just zooms to the zone on the document, so it's easier on the eye to view that information. Now, if a person wants to make any modifications here, they certainly can. And you don't have to stop the software here, but this just gives you an opportunity to review the results. Now, when we're sending this information out, we can send it to any line of business application that we need to. We can parse out specific pieces of information, send it to one location, look at other information, send it to another line of business software. And in this case, what we're actually going to do in this example is I'm going to go ahead and just migrate these to a folder. So in case you don't have a content management system, I'm just going to showcase that. But in addition to sending it to a folder, I'm also going to go ahead and output these to mFiles, which Michael will show you shortly. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. And you can see here, I've got this window structure here on my desktop. And in addition to that, just happened in seconds. So what we did here was it went ahead and created a folder as well as the Excel file format. So in this case, it's published all this data here. So the top line, you can see that it's extracted the same content, vendor name, identified the record type, PO number, and extracted all that detail that we told it to go find. But in addition, it went ahead and created a folder. So it created a folder for each vendor. In this case, it created a subfolder identifying the document type and then actually renamed the document. So it renamed it according to the vendor, the document type, as well as in this case, the invoice number. So we can output the naming convention to be whatever you wish it to be, but that way it streamlines that process for you. Now I'm going to give you a couple more examples. I'm going to go ahead and delete this so we have an empty folder. Perfect. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and again simulate that import process, but we can, if you're again, Direct Connect Scanner, if you want us to monitor your email and sweep the email and ingest the attachments, the subject, the content within the email, if you want us to sweep a folder, we can do all of that very easily. Now, in this case, I'm going to grab some HR documents, and then these could be any kind of documents that you're dealing with at all. Again, they could even be pictures. Now, in this case, a lot of these documents, they're going to look familiar to you. Just various documents for the HR group. And again, they come in as single pages. And here we've got a W-9, performance appraisal, W-4. So just a variety of different document types. Now, this demonstration is a little bit different here. Well, but the first part's the same. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to OCR each image because we told the software to do so. And that allows us to classify the document. So it allows us to identify the various document types. It'll perform the separation on the fly. So it'll say, hey, this is the first part of the document. This is the last part of the document. And these are the various types of documents. And then it's going to look for the key content that's relevant to that specific document type. So you're not each document is going to have the same type of information, but the software is able to distinguish which information we're looking for in each document type. And then as you can see here, it will just zoom to the zone. Now we intentionally stop the software in this view because it allows just another opportunity to stop the software here. So let's say, for instance, if you had handwriting and you wanted to have the ability to make modifications here, we certainly could do that as well. And you can see on the left, it went ahead and performed the separation of those documents. And then again, we can zoom to the zone of the information. Now, we're also going to go ahead and send this information out to M-Files, so you can have a visual of that with Michael's demonstration. But again, in this case, that way you can see a dual migration. I'm just going to go ahead and publish the content here to my migration folder. So in this case, it's going to go ahead and build a folder, which already done, that's great. So it created a folder. It created, in this case, we told it to create a folder with the first initial of the person's last name, a folder for the person's name, and then it renamed the documents according to the naming convention that we issued it to have. So in this case, it identified the date, the document type, as well as the person's name. Now, one last quick demonstration here. And again, these can be any kind of documents that you have. It could be, engineering drawings, if you had those. Just throwing out any example here. We can also perform redaction, if that's important to you, if you have confidential information. So if you're looking to do redaction, we can just grab this here. If you're looking to do redaction on documents, what we can do is we can do full redaction, partial redaction, white redaction, black redaction, white with bordered redaction. We can have dual migration as well. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and just redact the insurance IDs number. So you can have dual migration. So you can say, I want to have the redacted version going to one location, the unredacted version going to another location. If you want to actually burn the image so that way you cannot peel off the redaction, we can certainly do that as well if that's of value. So if social security numbers, financial information. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and zoom to the zone here so that way you can have a better visual of that redacted content. So I look forward to continuing the conversation, and Michael, I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away here.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia.
Certainly.
I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Let me minimize this so you guys can see the full screen. Yeah, so Julia did a great job at demonstrating how you can automate the extraction process and scanning those paper documents. So what I'm going to focus in on is how we can access that information once it's sent over to M-Files. So again, M-Files is the information management solution that manages all of your content. You'll notice that when I launched the desktop client, it didn't ask me to sign in. So we do support single sign-on options. So Active Directory, Office 365, things of that such. It will remember who I am, my role, my responsibility, what I'm supposed to have access to, what I'm not supposed to have access to, and that happens automatically. And what I love about it from a user perspective is it's one less username and password that I have to remember, right? So Julia showed you that there was some folders and subfolders that were created, and that's typically how a lot of people like to access content because it's very familiar. So let me go and start there. So you'll notice that we have 4 different dashboards, but if you look over here to the Browse dashboard, this is where you would actually go through your folder structure. So the folder structure can be anything that you want. This particular folder structure that we chose to use was vendor, and then the subfolder was class of document or document type, right? So maybe I'm looking for Globex Corporation documents. Maybe I'm looking for a particular invoice. So one thing that I want to highlight about M-Files that's very unique, it's not just a normal traditional folder structure. So kind of taking that automation theme into context, everything that you save into the system in M-Files automatically puts the documents in the right folder. You don't ever have to manually choose what folder that it needs to go into. So that's really nice. The other thing that happens here is as we start collecting metadata, either through a manual process or an automated process that Julia showed you from the capture solution, we can actually show you certain things on the front end without you ever having to dig into the details. And what I mean by that is you can see that this invoice here has key pieces of information. So if I expand this, you can see this is all the metadata that we captured from the scanning process. And what I like about that is I can easily just go into the preview and preview this document if I wanted to. However, imagine if I had 100 documents in this invoice folder. I might not necessarily want to go preview every document to find pieces of information like a date scanned, right? Or PO number, or the sum of that invoice. Now, I can certainly do that from the preview, but maybe I don't want to dig into the details. These columns can be customized. So you can actually get access to information really quickly without ever having to look at the document itself. Another thing that's really nice is that these columns could also show workflow statuses. So we talked about workflow automation. This particular invoice, when it got into the system, was assigned a workflow state, and you can see that currently it's waiting for manager's approval. As it goes through the life cycle of that document, once it gets approved or rejected or possibly sent for finance, you can actually see that in real time. And these document columns could be moved around. So if you want to move the PO number in front of the invoice date, you can. If you want to add any types of columns for intelligent information, you can. It's really easy to do that. Another thing that's quite nice is that if I wanted to get a full screen of this, I can simply just double click the document, opens it up in its native application. And in this case, it's going to be Adobe PDF, right? But I don't have to go very far to get relationship information. And what I mean by that is this invoice is for a particular vendor, right? Let's say I access this information. I say, you know what? I know there's a packing list for this invoice, and I also need to reach out to the vendor. Normally, I would have to open up a totally different system to get information about that vendor. But in M-Files, I don't have to do that. Again, that repository agnostic approach to where all of that information is all in one system. So if I click on Globex Corporation, for instance, you can see that Globex is not just a name in the system, but it's information. And this information can be anything about that particular vendor. And in this situation, we're collecting address information, phone number, website, but it can be anything. It could be a vendor status, or it could be like something like, is this vendor have any outstanding balances or anything in good standing, that kind of stuff. But in this case, where we can act as a native application to manage this information, or we can pull from another source. And in this case, we're pulling from Salesforce. Another thing is that vendor has relationships to it in itself. So maybe I need to contact John Smith in procurement about this invoice. And maybe I need to look at the invoice, but also the packing list. So because we're creating relationships using those metadata tags, all of that information is conveniently located all in one UI and one window pane for me, which is also really, really awesome. Another thing that the system does that I really love is that as I start accessing content, it's going to collect in a, I would say, the time frame of 30 days, 60 days, whatever you guys want it to do. But as I start accessing content as a user, you can see that it starts collecting that in the recently accessed by me. And the idea here is that it doesn't matter if it's a document, an email, a project, a vendor, whatever I'm accessing. The idea is that maybe I want to go back to it relatively soon. But if you do find yourself going back to something a lot, maybe I'm managing Globex, there's a lot of things going on with them, I do want to go back to them all the time, you can pin that vendor. You can also pin a few documents as well to just make sure that they're always on the home page. And then when you want to unpin them, you can simply just unpin those. You can also right-click on documents and add those to your favorites. So the idea there is it's very similar to creating a bookmark for a website or something like that. I'm in sales. I'm always going over to the price list. So I always add that to my favorites so I can always easily find it so I don't have to do a separate search. And I also like to do this where I could go in and follow a document. Because our price lists go through a lot of changes, I want to get notified when something changes on that document. That's also quite nice. So we're talking about workflow automation. So these dashboards are all contextual. And what I mean by that is as you're accessing content, as you're getting assignments, it's going to display visually things that you're supposed to look at. So, me going into this system, I don't ever have to wonder what document am I supposed to review? What am I supposed to approve? It's kind of like your virtual desktop to where you can always see what's happening and what activities you're responsible for that day. So you can see that I have 3 assignments where I'm supposed to review 2 proposals and 1 invoice. And again, as I click on the document, I could just move these to the different workflow states. I can either approve it or reject it. As I start approving documentation, I can leave notes. I simply click OK. I save. Once I approve a document, you can see that it disappears from my task list. Let's say, for instance, I'm not in M-Files all the time. Maybe I'm constantly in Outlook. So I'm in sales. I'm constantly answering emails, emailing clients, emailing partners. So another nice thing is you can set up the system to send not only a notification in your dashboard, but a notification in an email as an alert. So here's an example of what an email might look like from a notification. You can see that I have the link to the actual document that will take me directly to that document. And you'll notice that there's desktop, mobile, and classic web. So let's say, for instance, I'm traveling. Maybe I'm in a car with my colleague. I get an alert that I'm supposed to approve a document. I don't have to wait until I get to a computer. I can click on the mobile link, takes me to my mobile app, shows me the document. I can review it from there and approve the document that way. So work doesn't stop just because I'm not in the office. Also gives me a really nice, concise assignment description, telling me what I'm supposed to be doing. Also, there's a deadline there if there is a deadline assigned. And another nice thing, again, if I need to find out information about that particular vendor before I approve the document, I have access to that really easily as well. So we kind of talked about using the contextual dashboards and also the browse, but another really popular way of finding content really easily is through this search. And we have a really powerful search capability. So I'm just going to go over here and just type in a very broad search like invoice. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it's actually going to look for everything that has the word invoice in it. And the reason why I did such a broad search is we talked about that repository agnostic approach. And you'll notice that not only does it show documents that fit that criteria that's natively managed in M-Files, but it's also showing content that's living outside of M-Files. So we can connect to other data sources like SharePoint, network folder drives, and it's as if that connection to those databases where that managed content, we can access that information as if it lived in M-Files. I could preview the documentation. I could go in and double click the document to access it if I wanted to. So it doesn't really matter where it lives. This is a master search for all the connected databases. Another nice thing about it is maybe I'm looking for only things in the network folder share. So you can choose what repository you're looking at, and you can also refine your search using these facets. Another thing that's really nice is in a knowledge worker's job, a lot of times we're getting asked to find really explicit content. Go find me an invoice that was created within a certain date range, or go find me an invoice that was over a certain amount for a particular vendor or client. You know, that typically is very hard to do, but in our system, it could be done in a matter of seconds. Maybe I'm looking for an invoice that's over a certain amount, for instance. By just typing in the search criteria, I could say I'm looking for any invoice over $10,000. And what it's showing me that is every invoice in the system, there's only 10 that fit that criteria. And you can see that from this column, that is indeed correct. If you've ever used anything like an Auto Trader or Zillow where you're looking for a house or a car, you're leveraging metadata to find what you're looking for. So example is you might be looking for a black car with 4 doors that's within a certain zip code range, over a certain amount, under a certain mileage. You're building out that search criteria. You can do those types of explicit searches on your documents and information within M-Files and find out exactly what you're looking for. Another great thing about this is that Julia showed you how you can extract and take TIFF images or scanned images of documents and make them more intelligent by being able to leverage the contents of the search or the documents in a search. So if you look at this, if I say I'm looking for an invoice with the word donuts in it, right? You can see that donuts is not even listed on the title or the actual metadata, right? So how did it find this content? And it's because we intelligently converted these text words into searchable content. So imagine anything on this document can be used. It could be an item number that I'm searching for. It could be an address. It could be anything. And you can see that this packing list also has the word donuts on it as well. So very powerful, powerful search. And the last thing that I want to show you, I know we're running close on time, is the integration into other databases. So we talked about the repository agnostic approach, being able to access content in the repositories from M-Files. It also works in the reverse. Let's say, for instance, somebody's in SharePoint, somebody's in Teams, they love working in that UI. They don't ever want to leave that UI, but they still need to access content in these other databases from M-Files, from network folder shares. You can see that I can actually go into my Teams environment and have this embedded UI where I can access documents in SharePoint. I can access documents in Google Drive. I can access documents in M-Files. And as I click on the document itself, we have the same capability that we have in M-Files, right? I can preview the document. I can see the metadata. I could participate in a workflow. I could double-click a document and collaborate and check something out. We also have that rich search capability to where it's searching the contents of the document itself as well. So you can see that it found this delivery agreement using OCR. And when I look at the actual document itself, and I say, okay, well, why did it find that document? It's because OCR was a line item. So really powerful stuff, really the ability to give users the access point from any location, and choosing whatever UI and access information quickly. So that concludes my portion of the demo. I think we roughly have 5 minutes for Q&A, so I'm going to pass this over to Manny and start the questions.
Thank you very much, Michael and Julia. Great presentation, as I'm sure most of you will agree with that. So I'm just going to go back to the presentation where I have the questions and answers. I've had a couple of questions come through, and Michael and Julia, feel free to answer any that is relevant to your side and your solution. So the first one is, I know Julia touched on this, but a participant is asking whether M-Files has also the capability to redact sensitive information if it was missed at the time of capture. So I guess that applies to you, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can either do it on the capture side, but if it doesn't happen on the capture side, you can easily do it using our AI technology to automatically redact PII information. And the AI knows what PII information looks like. It knows what a social security number looks like. It knows what a bank number looks like, and it can automatically redact it. But what's really nice about our system is it's not a binary thing. So where it means that if you redact it, it's redacted for everyone, right? So it might be redacted for people that's not supposed to see it, but people like in an admin role or maybe an HR role, or maybe it's my own personal information. I can see the information because it acts as a layer, and you can toggle that layer on or off, and and that layer has its own permission set to where certain people will have it where the layer is always transposed, and other users will see it where they can see it without the layer on or off.
Excellent. Thank you. Another question, I guess this applies to you, Michael. As part of the integration with or direct connections to other software or line of business software, is there a limit that is applied to mFiles as to the number of repositories it can have direct connections to?
No, there's no hard limitation. Really, what we're just doing is setting up the connection once, and then it's always going to crawl that database. So you can either browse those other file contents either through a folder structure or do a search.
Perfect. And I know you touched on being able to use the solution on a mobile app. I have one question that is asking whether the mFiles app is a native app or is it one that has to go through the web browser?
Absolutely a native app. That's a great question. So a lot of solutions claim that they have mobile support, but in their eyes, mobile support means somebody opens up Safari or Chrome and then logs in through a web browser. We don't ask you to do that. We have a native app that's on iOS and Android devices. We also even support landscape mode for things like a smart tablet to give you more real estate. So we're not asking users to go to a browser, but there's an actual app on the App Store.
Perfect. And does it allow for offline viewing of documents?
Absolutely. So one thing I didn't touch on the demo, but is very capable in our system, is you can mass select things that you want to look at offline and just right click and set for offline use. And then the minute that you get back to an internet connection or cell phone coverage, it'll automatically update any changes. So I do that typically very often where I know I'm going off site where they might not have cell service or Wi-Fi. I might select those for offline use and then bring them back online when I get back into the office.
Excellent. Well, that's all the questions. If there are any other questions that other people have, we have about a minute. I'm just gonna go to the next slide and present you with the contact details for Fred and Julia, who will be more than happy to schedule something for you offline and take you through the whole process again with regards to capture, or whether if you need another demonstration of mFiles, we can also accommodate that. So feel free to get in touch with them. Now I'm going to open the floor up to all the presenters. First of all, I want to thank you for your time. I thought it was a very useful and very helpful presentation. You guys have about a minute, so if you want to have any last words or anything else you want to cover, we have about a minute, so feel free to jump in.
Well, this is Robert Escow, Kodak Alaris. So I just want to say thank Wave for putting this together. Also want to thank my counterpart in marketing, Dana Jones, for the content provided for the presentation. Really helped out a lot. But a little bit about Kodak Alaris. We've been doing this for years. There are a lot of scanner vendors in this industry, but we have the widest variety of scanners across the board. From desktop all the way to high-end production. We are the dominant leader in high-end production scanners. 5 over the past 6 years, we've won Buyers Lab Product Line of the Year over all of our competitors. So that really has a lot to show of who we are, what we do, and why we partner so close with Wave. Wave just doesn't partner with anybody. They partner with a select group of vendors. So again, appreciate all your time. If you have any questions about Kodak Alaris scanners, feel free to contact Julia Tenzer or Fred, and they'll get in contact with me. Again, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. And I'll pass it on to any other presenters that may want to say something.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Excellent. With that said, thank you for your time. Hope we can touch base again in the near future. So everybody have a great day, and I will send out the recording and the presentation for your reference to your email address that you registered for this event for. Thank you very much again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.